So this is Wytham Woods, and it's about 400 hectares of semi-natural woodland. Some of it's ancient, some of it's plantation, very mixed, on a hill, and the Thames surrounds it on three sides, and there's a reservoir on the other side. Wytham is the same as the Isle of Wight. It was gifted to Oxford University to be preserved in its natural state, and since then the university has made a lot of use of it for research, ecology, geology, that sort of thing, including the Edward Gray Institute, who have 1,265 bird boxes which great tits and blue tits regularly nest in, and they've been monitoring those boxes for 50 odd years or more, and they are now made of Shregler woodcrete, which is sawdust and concrete mixed, and bats take up residency as soon as the chicks fledge and the birds leave the boxes, which is end of May, and then 3 species of bat will breed in the boxes through the summer. We have ringed in the last 8 years just over 3,000 bats, and we've seen bats about 8,000 times, read the rings or measured them. We know there are 7 different colonies of natterers across the wood, and there are 6 different colonies of daubentonnes, as well as a completely separate group of male daubentonnes that cover the whole wood, whereas the natterers, males and females, are in the same groups. And we also have lots of separate groups of brown long-eared bat. We're still getting to grips with who lives where and how many different groups we have. We don't see them quite as often. So we come out and we look in the boxes to find roosting bats, and then we'll put rings on them, and over time, when we find them in different boxes, we've built up a picture of the territories for roosting in the daytime that the different groups have. Juveniles along the front, along the bottom here. That's a juvenile, and then this is an adult, these top row, and these are the juveniles. You can see quite a contrast. There's a gingery head poking out between those 2 juveniles. And natterers have this characteristic flick of the ear folded back. We ring bats as juveniles so that we can know for the rest of their lives exactly how old they are. And even though bats are very small mammals, they can weigh 8 grams or 10 grams, they can live for 20 or 30 years. Z4485, R on RW, the ring is on the right wing. The one above is an adult, and the finger joints here are small and bony round knuckles on the fingers, whereas this juvenile still has a long tapering joint where there's cartilage and it's still forming into bone. F3L. So daubentonnes are just little brown bats, really. Quite dense, almost waterproof fur, mouldy compared to the natterers, which are a bit shaggier. They're quite dumpy and stocky little bats, little teddy bears. Their bellies are quite grey. All myotis have a pale belly and a dark back, but natterers have a paler belly, so it's one way of telling them. And then this is a tragus in us, and in a bat it helps tell the directionality of the calls when it's echolocating, when it's listening to the echoes. It's just a thumb-shaped, short little tragus, whereas a natterers has a much sharper tragus. So the ears are one of the best ways of telling them apart. They don't have as long ears, and they're thicker, rubberier ears. And these big, robust toes and long claws, they scoop insects off the water's surface, so that's their specialism, is flying low over the water and eating things that have fallen onto the water or that are emerging from the water, even small fish they can catch. And so they wear little U-shaped aluminium bands. This is A4880. So that's 36.1 forearm.
And that's 7.9 grams.
So some people don't like the look of weighing them in these CD cases,
but these bats are actually crevice roosters, so you can see he's not struggling at all. They're happy as long as they've got contact on two surfaces. It's a bit like Russian babies that get wrapped very tightly and swaddling. They feel comfortable like they're back in the womb. These bats really don't seem to mind. Elbow, wrist, thumb, 2 fingers along the leading edge, and then 4 and 5 fingers, so it's just like a human hand.
Did I give you a call?
We've ringed 1,600 Daubenton's in 8 years, and 2/3 of them are males, so we have a lot of males in the wood, and the females, the third of that number that we've ringed that are females, there are 6 or 7 different colonies, but it's possible that the balance of the population is out on the river under bridges or closer to the water than the woodland allows. And we still do encounter adult Daubenton's that we haven't ringed, so it's a big population that's cycling through the boxes.
For neighbouring colonies, do they overlap in terms of where they go to feed, or is there any relationship between where you spend your day and where you spend your night? So there are still a lot of questions, as with all these sorts of things. The more we learn, the more questions are generated. So few answers, lots of questions.